Please, as
Good
we
afternoon.
usually do, let's do a recap on this morning's session. So, I don't know if I have to mention names like Akosia or we all volunteer. I prefer we all volunteer anyway. So please, who remembers anything we did this morning? Okay, Boss Calvin.
I learned that MFA provides additional layer of security that allows you to access your console.
Okay, all right, thank you. Gifty.
Okay, I also remember that it's not really advisable or secure to use your root user to perform like the day-to-day
Sorry,
activities
Gifty,
on your console,
please hold on.
the day-to-day activities.
Kindly mute yourself. Albert, kindly mute yourself. Okay, thank you. Gifty, please go on.
So it is advisable to rather create an IAM account that has an admin privilege. Okay, so that one when you lose it, it's not too or too much of this one like the root user. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you. Jennifer.
So I remember that a single root user can create about 5,000 IAM users. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the IAM users is rather attached to the account. So every account on AWS can have 5,000 IAM users. So that's the sort of the limit. But I don't know if it's possible that anyone can max it out. Okay. So please, anyone else? Gifty, your hand is still up. Do you want to make another submission? All right.
No, please.
Okay, thank you. Terry, please, are you in the house?
Yes, I'm here. So we look at
Please.
some types of security credentials when it comes to IAM. So we have the access and security access keys. We have the keeper, the username and password, email address and password. And we have multi-factor authentication.
All right, thank you. Kofi Adom. Hello, Kofi Adom.
Yeah, Dennis.
Yeah, please, can you share with us what you remember from the morning session?
Okay. So I remember things we learned about the IAM, identity and access. So I remember that we can assign rules to users in order for them to access some particular resources. So let's say S3 full access or DynamoDB full access. So when we designate that kind of role access, it will help the user to the users who are assigned that particular role to access the resource. And if a particular user is not assigned to that role, the person might not be able to access it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. So I wanted to ask a question. I think this came up when she was explaining the IAM. So someone mentioned about ACL, the difference between ACL and IAM. Does anyone remember to tell us again the difference between the ACL and IAM? Okay, Yakubu.
I think she said the ACL is part of IAM. So IAM is like the umbrella, and then the ACL is part of IAM.
Great, that's true. Beatrice. Oh, okay. I guess he said what he
he,
wanted to say.
he said what I wanted to say. So
Okay, but tell us again. Tell us
Hey,
again.
please.
I want to hear your voice.
so he's like, well, so like he said, Akosia made us understand that the ACO is part of the processes that you undertake to be able to complete the IAM. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Victoria, please, would you want to share with us anything you remember from the morning session?
I remember we talked about the IMA groups, which are a collection of IAM users, sorry. And the groups cannot be
Please, could you
necessary.
speak up a little?
We talked about the IAM groups, which are
Yeah.
collection of IAM users. And groups cannot be nested, which means you cannot have a group inside another group.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay.
I think Jennifer's hand is up.
Well, I think it was from the first. Okay, Jenny, if you have anything else to share, kindly do so.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
That's what I thought. Okay. Jesse, would you want to tell us something? Okay.
Oh, I think they've said it all.
Imana Oku, please, you can go.
Oh, I just wanted to add the Identity Federation, which can act as an SSO, right?
Yeah. Is it my network or his?
You
I
got that,
cannot.
right?
Yeah,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we
we
can.
can hear you.
You dropped off a bit, but we can hear you now. Okay, I think he's off.
Okay, I was just talking about the Identity Federation, all right? Identity Federation, which acts as an SSO, right?
Yeah.
So then,
Okay.
I guess by default permissions for IAM are denied, right?
But then you said by default, what?
Permissions for IAM are denied, right?
The federation. Hello, Jesse. Oh. Oh, it's me. Please,
But I
can
think he was saying that by default the IAM permissions are denied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kavo. Akosia, please, are you back?
Yes, please, I'm back. Derek, first, thank you, Dennis. You mentioned something about the access control list. Did you say you wanted to add something or you had a question about it?
I was asking, it came up earlier, the difference between the ACL and IAM. And
Okay.
I was asking if anyone remembers the explanation you gave about the difference, and they did. So,
Okay. Derek, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to take evidence from you. I don't know, did you take a screenshot or something
Screenshot of what, please?
of the page that showed that you couldn't do it or something?
No, I ran out of credit, so the whole thing went off.
Okay.
Yes. I didn't even answer one question. Because if
Okay.
I had
So right now, when you go to your dashboard that has the various tests, so like it says submitted, right?
okay, I saw the email alert from my email.
Okay.
I saw it this morning.
Okay, so I have reached out to him, but he hasn't responded yet.
Okay.
Oh, but I'm sure he'll be able to do something for you when he eventually sees the message. So don't worry about it.
All right, sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, so we just finished our recap. Dennis helped us with our recap on what we did this morning. I heard Terry mention the various credentials, the various security credentials that you can use for authentication inside IAM or inside AWS, MFA, key pairs. And this morning we established that IAM helps you to securely control access to your AWS resources and to the services. And we use I guess another person to mention that by default, everything is a deny. So unless you explicitly say that this user or this role can perform so and so actions, it is a default deny. Okay, so next we will look at detection. So we looked at IAM as one of the ways of, we're still looking at the security life cycle. So at the prevention stage, IAM can be used to prevent anything from happening. Because if, for instance, I have my company or we're all working together and Jesse doesn't have permissions to do something, instantly or automatically, whatever power he has or whatever chance he has to even do anything is stopped right there and then, because inside my account, he's not going to be able to do anything. I mean, you can't, you can only do what you're allowed to do. So in essence, we have prevented him from doing things he's not supposed to do, because he does not even have the power to be able to do that. And IAM is integrated in all the services, really. It's really one of the most fundamental and important aspects of AWS, because security is like a great concern, and security is a really important concept, especially when it comes to the cloud and even physically. So I heard of an interview where so for example, people were interviewing for an AWS job, and then let's say about 50 people, and then the task that they had to do, or the task that they had to perform to be able to pass that interview, they hadn't been given permissions to perform that task. So let's say they've given you an account, and then they've given you these instructions, or maybe they give you this problem, so solve this problem. So they were like so focused on solving the problem and drawing solutions and everything that they just didn't check with IAM. But then the person administering the test didn't give them permissions to be able to do whatever. So that's like about 49 of them failed the test because none of them like looked at IAM. They were like so focused on the other solutions. So like, yeah, they had.
Sorry to interrupt. I think I'm having issues with my network, so I'll drop off and join quickly when I'm done with the test.
Okay, Penty.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So it was just one of them who was able to see that, okay, he needs permissions for whatever task they've asked him to do. So like that's really how essential knowing IAM is, because without permissions, really you would not be able to do anything in the AWS cloud. I know because we use what's it called? Because we're using our root user right now, so we don't really feel the essence of it. But when I don't know, just create a user, okay, don't assign any permissions, and go to the console and see how frustrating it will be, because you'll be blocked at everything you try to do. Okay, we can move on to detection. So we're done with the content on prevention. We've looked at how to harden our network, how to harden our system, data security, and identity management. And we said that these domains, when we use AWS or when we use other services, we are able to prevent attackers from launching an attack or from being successful with an attack when we put measures in place to block all these avenues in those domains. So from prevention, we now move on to the second stage of the security lifecycle, which is detection. What do we understand by detection? Derek Appiah. Okay, Gifty wants to help us.
Hello.
Okay, so it simply means finding out or getting to know there is an attack going on or there's been an attack. That's the detection.
All right, thank you, Gifty. Johnny Albert.
Hello. Also, detection is not just that an attack is going on, but also the attack have gone on or there is the attempt to attack.
All right.
So if you are able to detect an attempt to attack or the attack had happened, it's also classified as detection.
All right, thank you, John. Appiah David.
Okay, so Akosua, detection can also be your ability to find out a vulnerability. Thank you.
Thank you, Appiah David. And so because I said participation points, you just had to speak. See, hey, I like the I like the energy.
Oh, not that.
So
very necessary. Everybody will talk.
well, so we're going to be learning how to use antivirus or how antivirus software detects threats. We would also look at the benefits of intrusion detection systems, and would also identify how guard duty detects threats. So we are at the detection stage, and it occurs when prevention has failed. And we're supposed to be monitoring and then detecting any attack that has been able to get past the security controls that have been implemented inside of our prevention phase. So for example, we have set up our NACL to protect our subnet, but inside our VPC flow logs, AWS Network Firewall has seen that, okay, one suspicious traffic has been able to still infiltrate. So when our preventive measures have been breached, so to say, or when some attack is able to get past our preventive measures, then that is when detection comes to life. Let me say, Terry. All right, so I'm sure we all know about antivirus software. Can someone tell us what it is? I'm very sure we've all had an experience with antivirus software before. Dennis.
Okay, so an antivirus software, from my definition, is a software that's able to detect malicious activity or programs that are deemed as viruses or Trojan horses, and it's able to alert you, the user, and sometimes it will ask you to perform some actions, whether you should remove them or you should quarantine them, or some of them too, they are able to automatically react when they detect the program. And then okay, let me allow others to say something.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Terry.
So an antivirus is a program designed to detect and remove viruses from all kinds of malicious activities.
All right, thank you, Terry. So, earlier this week, we looked at some types of threats or some types of attacks. We looked at spyware, we looked at Trojan, we looked at various ways that our system can be attacked when some malware, and we also saw that our system gets them when we download unsafe stuff from the internet, or when we share USB devices. So for example, they get transferred when you share such storage devices, for example. So malware is malicious software. So the intent is to cause some harm to your system. It will compromise the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of your system. So for example, ransomware would compromise the availability of your system, because until you are able to pay the ransom, you don't get any access to your system. It would spyware would cause harm to the confidentiality of your system, because you not knowing that whatever software is inside your machine, it's able to collect data about you and be spying on you, and you don't even know that it's there. So right now, information that is supposed to be just yours, right now somebody else has that information, so they've been able to corrupt your confidentiality of your system or of your data. And some types of malware include worms, bots, ransomware, and viruses. We'll look at them, yeah. So the infection methods include untrusted websites, emails, and removable devices. So sometimes you try to access the websites, and I noticed that about probably those of us who like to download movies and stuff for free. So usually those websites have like a lot of ads. So sometimes you can just click something and then it will show that, do you want to download something? And sometimes, so if you are downloading software and other types of data from untrusted websites, so for example, you want an app that is not on the App Store, you have to use like another means to get it. Probably just search Google and get it from one site that is not so trusted. Sometimes your phone would warn you that be careful when proceeding with this, because these downloads, they sometimes come with malware such as worms, ransomware, viruses. So that's why you are prompted. So these untrusted websites can get this malware onto your system, and through emails too. Sometimes you can just click on a link and then something gets downloaded or something just gets into your system. And removable devices, those of us who like to take movies and other files from our friends. So your pen drive, probably your roommate has a movie on her pen drive and then you want it, you use the pen drive to transfer from her to yourself. Any malware that she has, the chances of you getting it are possible. And viruses can corrupt or delete your data and propagate themselves from one system to another. So the instance, you take your roommate's pen drive, any virus she has, transfer the movie, it comes with it. Worms are programs that spread themselves to consume resources destructively on a computer. So just like the name, or just like we know worms when we say like we have when we need to deworm kind of. So they just consume your resources that you have available, and then they spread. So they just affect the user, or in my example, the human, negatively. And the author of the worm is able to control the affected computer remotely. So imagine you have your you have your laptop and you're not doing anything, but things are changing and things are being different because someone is controlling them from somewhere else, just because they've been able to send this worm malware into your system. Bots are also used to control computers and to launch distributed denial of service attacks. Distributed denial of service attacks are they send illegitimate traffic. So these robots send traffic. So they can be programmed in a way or simulated in a way that your server looks like 1,000 people are trying to access your website at the same time. And because of that, legit users or actual human users would not be able to access that platform because these bots have gone and overwhelmed your system. Backdoors, secret servers that steal information from your system. And rootkits, they replace file systems that can reveal their presence. So just imagine you've gone for a security man to come and guard your system or your machine, for instance, and then this malware poses as the security man. So the person that is even supposed to catch the attacker, that person is now the attacker. So like all the best trying to find out that issue, or all the best trying to remove them from there. It's really, there's just a really little chance that you will succeed by that. So sometimes it results in you having to format your whole system, because right now your people that are supposed to be protecting, they've been replaced and you can't even tell. They just look like, yes, this is my security man, or this is who is guarding my system. But right now, it's not actually your security man, but it's a rootkit, a form of malware that has been sent into your system. And spyware too affects your confidentiality, because people are, or people you don't know are able to monitor your activities, and through that they can steal your information. Some spyware can even cause the attacker to have access to your camera, so you don't even know what is going on. You're just probably in a meeting, your camera is on, your microphone is on, and you just think it's confidential. It's just you and then the other person on the line. But then the attackers are able to get access to your camera. They are watching your face and listening to everything that you are saying, because they have been able to plant spyware inside your system. And adware is advertising content, and it monitors your user activity. So sometimes you notice that you haven't really you haven't directly gone to like search for something, but you could sometimes get ads on it. So if adware is supposed to get onto your system, it's just spies on your system, and then it's able to show you ads and know what you like. So that way it's able to share content that you are likely to click on. Ransomware, your system is locked till you pay a ransom. And these are the ways that you can get these various types of malware onto your system. So an antivirus software, it's a specialized program and it prevents, detects, and removes malware. So, for example, I have an antivirus program running on my machine. When I take my roommate's pen drive and I insert it into my machine, it would prompt me that something like do not proceed or something like that. So that is it preventing, and it will also detect that, okay, this and this and this is what was found on this pen drive, or this was found on your machine. Johnny, help it.
Hello, Akosia.
Hi,
I
John.
also understand that spyware will also spy on your keystrokes. So you come in, they are there, you start typing your password, and then they are just monitoring and then spy on which keys you are typing, you are pressing, and then will send it. So at the end of the day, you have your password you are keeping secret, but somebody else knows about it.
Okay.
That's what I want to add to the spyware. Yes.
Thank you, John.
Yes, welcome.
Another thing too that antivirus does is that you can use it to remove whatever malware that it is. So sometimes you would put in a removable device, and then they would ask you that in order for you to proceed, you need to format it. Do you want to format it? So yeah, you would be able to get rid of the malware from your system or from the device with the help of an antivirus software. So they are usually provided as part of the Windows. So I think Windows Firewall is one of them. It's this famous one, Mac A, FEE. I've seen Avast. There's a number of them, and some are paid, some are also free. So you should always ensure that you're using a trusted, you're downloading from the trusted source if you want to get an antivirus software for your machine. And it's able to produce a report to show the findings. So if it found any malware or any malicious software or programs inside your system, it would produce a report and ask how you want to proceed. Maybe you want to delete them. Dennis mentioned quarantining them. So when using an antivirus program, regularly update the software, frequently scan your system, and also scan incoming communications. So this is an example of a virus scan. I think this is the Avast I spoke about. So it's able to give you that virus identified. If you want more information, and then the status, is it resolved or not? What type of virus is it? What is it? What type of file is it affecting? Is it affecting a file, a directory? Is it in an archive? Is it in an email attachment? And after you have been able to get rid of the virus, it will show that the status is now successful. And you can select what specific files or folders to scan, or just as a good practice, you just scan everything. And they tell you the location or where the virus was found. And then you can choose to remove it so that the security of that folder or that file system is restored. So has anybody in this class ever been a victim of malware? Dennis, you have.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So
Dennis.
that was back in university when doing my course in computer science. My PC got infected. Then there was this rampant virus. It's called the shortcut virus. So when it gets into your system, it deletes the actual content of your system and create shortcuts for them.
Hey.
And when you click the shortcut, it doesn't lead you anywhere. And like all my things, then I didn't have any idea about cloud yet. So I mean everything was installed on my PC and I got infected.
Oh.
And I was hot because I mean my project and everything. Like I think I almost cried.
Oh.
So I had to start digging the internet, asking friends how to go about it. And I think there was a message it left, and it was telling me an account I should contact and pay some amount, and I didn't want to pay. Yeah, and it looked like it came from India, like it was an Indian who had, I don't know, created the virus whatsoever. And so yeah, that was, and I lost my things, so I had to reinstall. I had to format the PC and reinstall, the OS and everything back again.
Okay. Thank you for that, Dennis. Okay, so Terry, can you tell us which antivirus or anti-malware that you are currently running on your computer? Okay, William.
Is it me I'm talking to?
Yes, it's you I'm talking to.
Yeah. I'm using Twitter 360.
Okay.
It's very powerful.
Right, William.
Hello. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, it's working. Yeah, about the viruses, there was this one called there's this one that affects pictures. It's I don't know the exact name, but when you check the bottom right of a picture, you see a text that says "I am sorry" at the bottom right, and it affects all your pictures, like all your pictures. So I was scrolling through my pictures and I kept seeing this "I am sorry" text, and I was just wondering what. I checked all my pictures and was infected with all of it. So I checked online, one of the Reddit forums, and they said it was a ransomware, one of these Pakistani people. Yeah, but
Okay.
I ran Windows Defender. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay. Thank you, William. So some examples of antivirus and anti-malware programs: AVG, McAfee, Norton, and Kaspersky. All right, intrusion detection systems. What do we understand by intrusion detection systems? I don't want so yesterday one of the groups touched on it, Dennis's group, I believe. So I don't want someone from that group. Someone else should tell me what an intrusion detection system is. William, do you want to?
Okay. So it's like it's like a watchman. So it notifies you when it's detected in any malware or any intrusion in your system.
All right. Thank you, William. Gifty.
Yes, Akosia. So it can be a software or a device that has been dedicated to monitor like the organization's network. And even sometimes we have ones that can also monitor devices like the endpoints.
All right. Thank you, Gifty. Yakubu.
Yeah, so an intrusion detection system can either be a software or hardware which detects malicious activities. So for example, if maybe a particular IP is malicious, or they realize that the IP is trying to log into the system maybe several times,
the IDS can raise an alert or an alarm so that whoever is in charge can investigate further. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Yakubu. So it's intrusion detection systems, they monitor your environment or your system, and then when they detect or when they find any security threats, they generate an alert. They notify you that, okay, we found this and that's and it's trying to do this. That's intrusion detection systems. And the mechanisms include anomaly-based and signature-based. They could be hardware or software solution. And there are different types depending on where it is installed. The anomaly-based detection, yesterday we mentioned that establishing a baseline for your system is one of the ways to be able to prevent whatever from happening before it even happens. So we mentioned that your baseline is how your system runs on a normal day. So when you're not being attacked, how is your system like? What is normal to your system? So when you establish that baseline, whenever there's a deviation, this anomaly-based detection would be able to catch that and see that, okay, this is out of the ordinary. This is not how the system is supposed to be. And then the signature-based, it analyzes the traffic for known patterns of attack. And there are several types of intrusion detection systems. And these types are based on where or on the components in your environments that you install this IDS. So we have the network-based IDS and the host-based. So the network-based intrusion detection system is installed on the network, and it monitors network traffic and detects threats and raises alerts. And the host-based systems are installed on the server or on the node that we want to protect. As they mentioned, how having multiple layers of security is a good feature because you give your attacker more work. So like you give them more challenges. Okay, so they get past one, then they meet another one that they have to get past, then they meet another one that they have to get past. So the NIDS monitors for attacks on the network, and then the HIDS monitors your logs and your critical files on the server, watching for signs of an attack. So the network intrusion detection system is placed behind your network firewall, and the host intrusion detection system is installed on the server. So in this example, when an attacker tries to attack and is even able to get past the network firewall, the network intrusion detective system detects the anomaly at the network level because it's able to notice the number of packets is higher than the expected rate. So we mentioned that the packets store information about whatever data is being transmitted, where it's coming from, where it's going to. So if that data looks different than it usually looks, then the network intrusion detection system is able to generate an alert to indicate that situation that, okay, this is what is likely happening to your system. And another baseline that you can establish is your CPU usage. So on a normal or when you have legit traffic, what is your CPU utilization? When you establish that baseline, whenever your CPU utilization goes over, we know that, okay, maybe attackers are trying to send bots to your system or to your server, or something else is going on inside your system. So that would be detected by the host intrusion detection system. So with a combination of network intrusion detection system and host intrusion detection system, the possible attacks are detected and reported quickly. Amazon Guard Duty. This is a tool in AWS, and what it does is it monitors your system to detect threats. So it is continuously monitoring for malicious activity and anomalous behavior. When we say anomalous behavior, anything that's not normal, anything out of the ordinary when it comes to your system. So when you activate Guard Duty to monitor your services or your resources, it intelligently detects threats. So how it is intelligent is that it uses machine learning and anomaly detection to be able to decipher what is happening, if this is a normal kind of or a regular kind of thing happening, or if this is an attack. So you need to activate it and configure it to monitor your account, so that whenever anything out of the ordinary is happening, especially with regards to security, it would be able to alert you. And it also detects unauthorized and unexpected activity inside your environment, because it's able to analyze your data from the service logs. And these service logs include CloudTrail, VPC flow logs, and domain name system logs. So we said CloudTrail monitors the events inside your environment or inside your AWS account. So each event that you are, or each API call that you are making, CloudTrail is logging them if CloudTrail has been enabled. And your VPC flow logs to the traffic coming in and going out of your VPC. Those are your flow logs, the flow of traffic inside your VPC. And the domain name system logs are the Johnny Albert.
Hello. I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, about these two, IPS and then IDS. Are they just synonymous, or that they could perform similar functions, but one may do more than the other?
IPS.
That's intrusion prevention.
Intrusion prevention systems.
System, and then intrusion detection system.
So prevention would keep the intrusion from happening.
And intrusion detection system.
Yes, so IPS, which is prevention system, would keep the intrusion from even happening in the first place.
Okay.
And then IDS would detect when the intrusion has occurred. Gifty, did you want to add something about that?
Okay.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome, John. So, but the domain name system logs, when users are trying to access your website, for instance, the kind of traffic that it comes with, okay, so the kind of traffic that's their DNS queries. When I say DNS queries, it's just them doing facebook.com, akosia.com. So they are querying, or they are trying to get access to your domain name or to your website, let me say. So the DNS queries would Guard Duty looks through those DNS queries logs to be able to find anything out of the ordinary or anything suspicious. And it will be able to tell you that, okay, this query came in and your server or your environment might be compromised because this query came in looking like this, or this query came in having these features. And GuardDuty extracts various fields from these logs and it uses them for profiling and anomaly detection. So this as the logs are coming in, GuardDuty is able to get enough information about it that it can use its machine learning capabilities to kind of learn or make sense of these logs. So this is an example of findings that GuardDuty can have. So it's found a backdoor and a denial of service attack on EC2. And it has provided details about the threats that it detected. So the severity, if it's high, if it's low or medium, the region it's detected it in, the counts, the account ID, and the resource that has been affected, and details about your server or about your instance that GuardDuty found this denial of service attack happening on or affecting. Get this back. Okay. So these are the information that you would find. The type of suspicious activity is found, the resource, your server, any other resource in your account that the attackers were attacking. And the last time that the attack or the suspicious traffic was updated with new activity. So yes, it's inside your account, and what is it doing? What was the last time that it did whatever it came to do? And the count is the number of times that GuardDuty has noticed that activity matching this pattern. So what are the 3 capabilities of antivirus software? Okay, let me call someone. Enam, have you completed your what's it called? Your code signal now? Okay, I guess he's busy with code signal. Manokuru. Cool. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Dennis.
Please, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
I was saying that virus detection, real-time protection, and then removal.
All right, thank you, Guru.
You're welcome.
Preventing malware, detecting malware, and removing the malware. What are the 2 types of intrusion detection systems? Teresa. Perez.
Okay, so we have the network based and then the host based.
All right, thank you, Perez. So we mentioned that we have 2 types of intrusion detection systems based on where this IDS is placed. So when it's placed on your network or when it's running on your network, it's the network-based IDS, and it's usually behind your network firewall. And when it's the host-based IDS, it is on your server or it is on the node inside of your network. So the resources inside your network or inside your environment. Which AWS service detects threats inside the AWS account? Also, Asa, do you want to help us with that?
Well, question.
Yes, Derek.
Okay, that's the guard duty piece. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, so that's it for detection. It's finds security threats and it generates alerts. Could be anomaly based or signature based. And in the cloud, it's guard duty that continuously monitors your accounts and provides threats detection on your workloads and your data. All right, AWS CloudTrail. Who remembers anything we've said about CloudTrail so far in this class? Derek Apia. Okay, Beatrice.
Hello.
Hello, Beatrice.
Right, so you said we can use CloudTrail for monitoring and auditing of our AWS accounts. So CloudTrail logs all the activities that we perform on our AWS accounts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Beatrice. So yeah, as she said, CloudTrail provides auditing, security monitoring, and it also helps in operational troubleshooting, and it does this through log files. So it is able to log files on everything that is happening inside of your AWS accounts. The EC2 instances you are provisioning, the states that you are changing when it comes to that instance, everything that's happening. It logs S3, you perform the put request, you perform the post, people accessed your S3, what's it called, object, and RDS to things that have happened or have gone on in your database. So RDS is the relational database service for AWS. So requests that have been made to your database, anything that has changed in your database, it's just logging API calls. Okay, it's logging all actions that are being performed inside of your AWS account. So the way it works, an activity happens and then it captures and records that activity. So that activity is called a CloudTrail event. And the details about the activity are who performed the request, when did it occur, what's the source IP. So when we say source IP, if I'm in right now I'm inside East Legon, okay, so I'm in the office and then my IP address right now, that's the internet recognizes. So my IP address, when I perform any action inside AWS and CloudTrail is making the log, it would say the IP address that the request came from. If someone is somewhere else, they have their own IP address, ID in their machine or ID in whatever node that they are using to access the internet, then it's that person's IP that would be recorded, because that is where the API call came from. That's the source of the call. And how the request was made, was it console, was it CLI, was it SDK? and what actions did the person do? Did they terminate an instance? Did they launch a new instance? Did they stop? And did they delete something from the S3 buckets? Okay, and where the action occurred, which region? We've established that a lot of AWS services require you to provision your resources in a region. So if you're in US East 1, for instance, and you provision some EC2 instances, when you go to US East 2, you would not see those instances there. So when CloudTrail is logging, it logs that, okay, so this region is where whatever action occurred and what the response was. So today we saw that sometimes you are able to try to do something that you're not authorized to do. In that case, you made the API call, but it was not successful because you do not have permissions to make that call or to provision that resource. So CloudTrail will still log it, but the response would be that it failed or it was not successful, things like that. So this is an example of a CloudTrail event. So the type of user, an IAM user, and the principal ID, the Amazon resource name, the person's access key that they used, the account ID, the username, the time, the source of the event, and then the name of the events they took. So what Alice did is to start an instance inside the US East 2 region. And this was Alice's IP address while she made that API call. So when we see she used her access key ID to make that call. So it's likely that she used the AWS command line interface, because I mentioned earlier today that for you to use the CLI, you're going to have to configure your access and secret key into the CLI. That's way any resources you provision, any actions that you do in AWS to the CLI, AWS would be able to tie it to your user accounts. That's okay, these calls or these requests came from this user because you are the only person who has access to your access and secret key. And I mentioned that when AWS provides them to you and you don't copy them, that says next time you'd have to come and create a new secret and access key because you will not be able to get them. Okay. So this is also another log file of the record showing an action that started an EC2 instance. This is, okay, it's the same one. So from Alice, and she used the CLI to start an instance. So this is part 2 of this. Penty.
Because yeah, does ALX, sorry, I said ALX. Does AWS charge for using the CloudTrail?
No, you're not charged for using CloudTrail, but your logs need to be stored in an S3 bucket. So you pay for S3 standard storage.
Oh, okay. But let me ask this. What if you don't want to keep the logs files also? Or is it automatically that once you check, then it's supposed to be stored?
So when you're creating the bucket, when you're creating the trail, you are asked to provide a bucket to be stored in it. But I believe that's because that's for when you want to store the logs for a prolonged amount of time, because it will get to a time when you come to events history in CloudTrail, for instance, you won't be able to see logs from a certain period. I don't know the exact period. Maybe, for example, let's say about a month. So if you want logs from a month, you won't be able to see them when you come here. But when you store your logs inside an S3 bucket, you'll be able to keep them for a longer period of time. But if you're just depending on the CloudTrail logs, you won't need to. But it seems like a requirement for you to use an S3 bucket to store them. Because these are the two options. You
Okay.
either use an existing one or you create a new one. So I believe you won't be allowed to proceed, because you definitely have to choose one of these.
Okay.
All right, so how to find your CloudTrail log files? They are delivered to an Amazon S3 bucket that you specify, and you navigate through an object hierarchy. All these are directories within this, within this, within this, within this, within this, within this, within this. So when you even get to the exact file, it would have the information that you're looking for. I looked at one earlier and it wasn't really reading friendly. So a more better approach would be to go to the CloudTrail console like we just did and look at the events from there. So your logs, your account, CloudTrail. So the region that you have your resources provisioned in. So month, day, and then these are the logs that CloudTrail is gathering about your event. So this is the way that it is logged. But if you want to be able to, so your account ID, let me make this bigger. All right, so the user, the principal ID, so just some details about the events that was logged, what action they took. Yeah, just details. And if you go to the CloudTrail dashboard and you go to events, that one is like a better, let me see, summary of it. So if you don't want to be looking at it like this, and you can just be looking at them where they've been made like more presentable, I would say. Yes, I'm sure you guys would agree with me that this is better to look at than this. But it's the same information, details about the log stats or the events that have gone on inside your account. Okay. So to find your log file, you open S3, you choose the buckets, and then you navigate through the hierarchy till you find the log file that you want. And it delivers logs within an average of about 15 minutes of an event. So if I create a trail now and I launch an EC2 instance now, chances are that I will not see that events getting logged immediately. So it has an average of about 15 minutes. So after the event has happened, then that's when you get the maximum 15 minutes log of it. So benefits of CloudTrail. What do we think a benefit of CloudTrail would be? Musa. All right, Emmanuel.
for troubleshooting and then auditing.
Thank you. Yakubu.
Hello, Akosia.
For security and then for record keeping.
Hello.
All right, thank you. Since Emmanuel can hear us.
No, we heard you.
Oh.
Yeah.
John Harold.
Okay, so we can also use it for monitoring.
All right, thank you. So yeah, CloudTrail is able to get you insights into your user and resource features.
Hi, Akosia. Please, I was wondering if we can visualize the data from CloudTrail in a different way, maybe like a bar graph or something. Is it possible?
You would have to use another AWS service for that.
Hey, AWS.
So it increases your visibility into user and resource activity. So imagine you have a company and you can't really keep track of what each person is doing, or CloudTrail is going to help you to keep track of what each person is doing. So you can identify who did what and when inside your AWS account. Also, compliance audits are simplified because activities are automatically recorded and stored in event logs. So as part of requirements for let me say serious companies, they're supposed to have all these checks in place. Okay, so sometimes you can have probably your insurance company or just regulatory bodies making sure that your system or your whole environment is ideal. So with the insurance company example, for instance, they want to assess your risk to be able to know if you guys are complying or if the company is complying with these rules and regulations. So if they see that you are logging each activity that happens, that is a good sign, because that means that when it gets to time for accountability, it's going to be a very easy thing for them to do. And also with auditing, because all the records are there. So anything we are looking for, we would be able to find them. Another thing about logs too is that it's kind of helps deter people from misbehaving, because whatever you do, there's going to be a record of it. So you think twice, or you think about the consequences and repercussions before you take any action. And because you're able to capture comprehensive history changes, you can analyze and troubleshoot your operational issues inside your account. So when you're trying to troubleshoot a problem or trying to find a problem, knowing the problem and knowing the cause of the problem is when you actually get there, like half of your work has been done for you, so to say, because you have information and then you know how to proceed from there. CloudTrail also helps you discover changes made to an account that has the potential of putting data or accounts at a heightened security risk. And it also makes the audit process quick, because whatever you're looking for, it's already there. So you just have to probably filter through it or look through it, and then you go from there. So for compliance reasons and for troubleshooting and auditing requirements. Penty.
Because yeah, does it keep the logs on daily basis or at a hourly basis or at a system base?
Are you asking about the retention period?
No, I'm talking about how the CloudTrail is able to capture the logs. Does it capture it based on the systems that is the account that is performing the actions, or maybe it captures it on an hourly basis or something like that?
After the event happens, within 15 minutes, it will have the log for you.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Akosia, did you say within 15 minutes?
Yes.
Is that not too long?
I thought it was real time.
It's an average of 15 minutes for the log to be captured. Where is it? It delivers logs within an average of about 15 minutes of an event.
Okay, so that means it is continuously capturing the event, but delivers it within average of 15 minutes. Is that right? Because I don't think
Yes.
within that period it's going to miss any event.
After the event has happened, so within 15 minutes, the log would be available for you. The .gz file will be available for you inside S3.
Okay, but Akosia, meaning it captures it just like Emmanuel is saying.
Yes,
But
it captures
the
it.
delivery is done after 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
And it also captures it with the time. So even if the log would come 15 minutes after, you would be able to tell that it's happened at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you are able to specify the fields that you want the requested action and where the request was made from. So the body of CloudTrail, which is this that we saw, it has fields that would help you determine where the requested action and then where the request was made. So if you use the field region to keep a close watch if any adverse behavior occurs in that region that you don't normally use. And you're able to create alerts for your common regions and alerts for anything that is happening outside of your primary region. So you should make sure that you enable CloudTrail in all of your regions. I mentioned that when we are looking at a regional service, we would come here and then we see that we are able to select the regions that we want to use. But if it's a global service, you just see global here and none of it will be grayed out. So in CloudWatch, for any region that you have resources in that you want to be trailing or you want to be monitoring logs, you need to enable it per region. So right now we see CloudTrail inside US is one, but I haven't configured a trail in US is two. So when we go to US is two. So they are unable to find we're looking at a particular event in US East 1. So let me just go to the CloudTrail dashboard. And if we haven't enabled or we haven't created a trail for US West 2, we should not be able to get records on activities happening inside US West 2. And it's good practice to enable CloudTrail in all of your regions so that it's logging everything that's happening in those regions. I mean, like all of your regions that you have resources, not Not like all these regions that you go and enable CloudTrail for all, but just all of your regions that you have resources in. So it's good to enable CloudTrail for them. So best practices in CloudTrail, turn on CloudTrail log file integrity validation. Aggregate log files into a single bucket. Ensure that CloudTrail is enabled across AWS globally, and restricts access to CloudTrail S3 buckets. Because if somebody knows that CloudTrail is recording their movements or their actions, and then they go and do anything bad, and then they have access to these trail logs, they just have to go into your bucket. So let's say that bucket is the permissions on that bucket are not that limiting. The person will just go to the bucket and delete the trail from there. So you should be able to restrict access to the bucket that stores the CloudTrail logs. And it's good to integrate it with Amazon CloudWatch. Musa.
Oh, Akusia, I've raised my hand for quite a while.
Oh, sorry, I just saw it.
I want to ask two questions. One is it possible to modify the logs? Then the second is, can we assign trail to a specific user? So we create like a group, and then we give them a specific trail that it monitors this group in this way, and then the other group in another way.
Okay, so it logs everything. So each group, each user, everything they're doing, it logs it. So what you do is you filter to look for which user that you want to find information on, but it's going to be logging things about them anyway. And your first question about editing the logs, they're stored in S3. And the last time we saw that for you to edit anything in S3, who remembers what you have to do? You're not able to edit objects inside S3. You have to edit them where? Nobody remembered. Mano Odum.
You have to do it outside S3, maybe on your local machine.
Thank you, Ima.
And then create version.
Thank you. So you'd have to download it. Whatever change you want to do, you make that change outside and then you re-upload it to S3. And that way we would know that if you keep the same name and it's inside that same directory, then it will be that you have changed or you have edited whatever on the logs. But as I said, you should have permissions to be able to do this. So you need to make sure that if somebody has a reason to come and edit your logs, especially because maybe they've done something they're not supposed to do, then that is not a very secure setup, let me say. Musa, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Gifty.
Okay, Akusia, if you are able to edit a log, is it not going to have any indication to show like anyone that this particular log has been edited?
So if
like
versioning is enabled on the bucket, then it will show that this is version 2, or let's say version 1.2 of the file. That's the only indication that you would see.
Okay.
Peaches.
Hi. Please, what's the difference between CloudTrail and CloudWatch?
CloudWatch works based on metrics. So in CloudWatch, you would have to say what metrics you want CloudWatch to be monitoring for you. And CloudTrail is just login. So everything that is happening is logging events or API calls. So for example, I go to create an EC2 instance, CloudTrail would log it. And for CloudWatch, I would have to specify what I want CloudWatch to be watching for me when it comes to that EC2 instance, probably the CPU usage or the memory usage or something. Johnny Albert, Beatrice, is that okay?
Hello, Akosia.
Hello, John.
My yes, my concern. I have two questions here. If you are, let's say, an administrator, and then you pick a log file off to your machine or something, and then you edit it, and then when you finish, you re-upload it. Of course, the version 1 will be there, so it will be shown that. But why would you really want to go and edit the file that have been logged by CloudTrail? That is the first concern I have, because generally the administrators are people that can also be very dangerous. So they would actually hack the system right from inside. So I don't see the reason you would want to go and then, let's say, edit it and then re-upload it. Of course, and wouldn't CloudTrail actually also re-log that activity of picking the log outside and then bringing it inside again?
Yes,
is the question I want.
Yes, CloudTrail will log that activity of you downloading and re-uploading. So in the end, you've not even done anything, so to say.
Okay, that is one of the things I was thinking about. My second question is about guard duty and then CloudTrail. I know that guard duty is a paid service. If I'm not right, I can be corrected. But
Okay,
from what you said,
so guard duty is free, but then they have the advanced version of guard duty, and for that one is $3,000 monthly. But then the one we usually use is the free one. So the one we spoke about today was the free one. Yeah.
Okay, but are they exclusive? That's guard duty and then CloudTrail. They are exclusive.
Yes, please. There are services on their own, separate
They are
services.
services.
Yes, but
Okay.
AWS services are able to integrate really well, so you could use them together.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enam.
I just wanted to find out, or basically just talk about the fact that if I download a log file and I edit it and I put it back, the fact that you recorded the action I did, you recorded the action I did, which is to download it and to put it back, but then you didn't really get to the core of the issue, which is what exactly I changed. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
For example, it was ABCD and I download it and I put it back. Now it's ABCDEF. And knowing that it's a log file, it's difficult for you to find that new addition. Do you get it?
Yes, that's why it's good to enable versioning. I don't know if it's going to tell what exactly has changed. But yeah, you have a point. You can't tell what exactly the person changed.
Yeah.
Yakubu.
Yeah, so
But you know, S3 is just
with
storing the, how do I say it? S3 is just storing the .gz file, okay? But the actual log of it would still be in CloudTrail, and I don't know how you're going to edit that. S3 is just it's just a file inside S3, let me see. But then the actual log, when you come to the events history, you will see the actual log of it, which I know you can't edit.
Yeah, but earlier you said the CloudTrail logs are not permanent.
Yeah,
That
so after
after
a
some
while,
time,
yeah, they're lost.
it was something that happened like a year ago that has been edited and it's completely gone, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome. Yakubu.
Yes, so even though files in S3 can be edited, I don't think log files can be edited, because if log files can be edited, then it defeats the purpose of the logging in the first place.
Well, I didn't say you could edit
Yes.
it in S3. You would have to download it first. Okay, let me get a log file and let's see. But the actual log in CloudTrail, you can't touch it. But this is just an what's it called? S3 so actions. Okay, download as .gz file. I don't know. Guys, do you know what I can use to open it? Okay, it's a JSON policy. Okay, let me share my let me stop the share and share again. Tell me okay, so this is the file. I opened it. I opened with VS Code. So what would I even change? Let me change account number to just any number. I think it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, it's in my downloads folder. So let's go back to AWS and try to, so that means it's going to have this exact name if we're going to re-upload it. So we are in this directory and let's re-upload what was downloaded. So add files. This is it. Well, the format has changed now. So it would come as a different file and not the same one. I mean, the extension has changed because I downloaded a .json, but inside CloudTrail, it's a .gz. Does anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't know if it will upload as the same file or as a different file. Okay,
Yes, so
uploaded
I think
successfully.
it will have to come as a different file.
Yeah, so it came as a .json.
Yes, because what I was trying to say is that if you are able to edit log files, then it defeats the purpose of the logging. Because we are logging for security and for monitoring, so it shouldn't be editable.
Okay, so if I change the format to a .gz, What error might I get? Come on, let me edit it back. What's the document? Because in S3, it is really just a file. But inside CloudTrail, then it is a log. I don't know if you will understand the difference I'm trying to put across.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes, I could really understand.
Okay. So it will be handled just like how you handle files in S3, though it is a log file.
So like you need a system for the S3 to recognize it as a log and not just a file.
Well, I don't know if there's any system like that.
Yes, I think that will differentiate the person who made up their mind that they want to edit the file and then
I know, right? Because
upload it
why
back.
am I even
Yes.
trying to
So
find a way to upload it back?
yeah, because I've been thinking about it. If indeed it can be edited, then the purpose has been defeated already, as my brother said. So I'm sure that could be the particular reason. But have you allowed versioning on this particular bucket?
No, I haven't.
So that takes us back again, because I thought you said before you upload it, you are supposed to allow versioning on the bucket.
Yes, I said it's best practice, but personally, I didn't enable versioning on the bucket.
Oh, okay.
It's just advised that you do so. But the log is inside of CloudTrail, so the actual log is still there. And if you want a longer retention period, you can edit it to have a longer retention period.
It's kind of dangerous if maybe someone is able to prepare the log for S3 to accept it as a log and not a file.
S3 is just object storage.
I think that's an archived log. When you archive logs, you get a file, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, but what we are saying is that since we are trying to edit and then re-upload, the only thing we are seeing is it's coming at .json because S3, which we are dealing with here, is seeing it as a file, irrespective of what we've uploaded, is seeing it as a file. But the problem boils down to when we are able to change maybe commands for S3 to recognize it as a log. That is where we feel like then
But why do you need S3 to recognize this as a log when CloudTrail is already showing us the log?
We are thinking about the safety of this, you understand? Just like my brother raised. Some of the administrators can be bad. What if someone use your name or your account number, they know all those things and they are able to do things in your name? Maybe the logs is showing that you did it. Meanwhile, you don't know anything about it.
Okay, that's true. You have a point.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe we can move on. Yakubu, has your question been answered?
Yes.
Okay.
Then Akosia, I think for investigation purposes, when you are looking for actual logs that don't lie, we cannot rely on S3, the files in S3 buckets. Do you get me?
Yeah. So restrict access.
So we have to fall on.
So one of the best practices is to restrict access to CloudTrail S3 buckets. So what you can do from your end is that you that bucket, you block all access to that bucket.
Akosia, what if the blocker performs the action? That's the problem now.
But Akosia, please, I have a question. How long does the log stay in CloudTrail?
The log retention in CloudTrail.
I'm thinking if the duration is long enough, it can prevent some of these things we are thinking, because you do the editing, whatever, but whatever editing you are doing is also being recorded.
So when you integrate with Amazon CloudWatch, you are able to keep the logs longer than the CloudTrail default period. I'm looking at the documentation and it doesn't say exactly how long.
But you know, there could be investigations sometimes 10 years, 20 years after the incidents have happened. You know that.
Very true.
I know. And I think from what Akusia said, I think she only said the CloudTrail keeps the log temporarily for a month or two. I don't know if I heard it right.
So you
Before
might
it
need,
but she wasn't too
you might
sure.
need to archive it in S3. You know, S3, what's it called? Glacier. So Glacier is able to store your, like Glacier is recommended when you want to store logs for 7 years, 10 years that you're talking about, because in that essence, you pay less to keep it there. So S3 has a feature for archiving if you need to store the logs that long.
This thing we need to find out, because I know a lot of
Because
bad people who
I
will be
saw
able to
90
do this.
days.
Okay, on the documentation?
Yes, 90 days.
Okay.
For the logs.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So these are the best practices or the suggestions that you have been given for you to be able to have the most benefits from CloudTrail. So you integrate with Amazon CloudWatch, you restrict access to the SD bucket, and then you ensure that it is enabled across AWS globally, and you aggregate log files into a single bucket. So if it's in a single bucket, then working with permissions would be easier to manage because it's just one bucket for all of them, and then we know that S3 is a global service, right? So just one bucket and you'll be able to block whatever access or block anything, like any permission management that you need to do. And turn on log file integrity validation. Derek also answer.
Well, so I wanted to know if like keeping the log files incur some cost. But like you've indirectly answered it since you said you have to
You
keep
pay
it using
for
the
S3 storage.
Glacier.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the S3 standard is the most expensive, but if it's logs that you are keeping for compliance reasons, so probably you have to keep them for 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, and it's just compliance reasons. It's not like you have to, or you usually need to go back to look at them. So when we're looking at S3, we mentioned how when you don't need the file to always be available, to readily be available, you can move it to Glacier, because in Glacier, the maximum number of hours to retrieve your files is it 12 hours or 46 hours, one of them. So if it's for compliance reasons, you're not going to need to be accessing those log files. You can keep it in Glacier just to reduce your costs, because S3 standard is the most expensive.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, we are done. What is an AWS CloudTrail event? Any mention names?
Akosia, where is your first hand, Dennis? Like this evening, I have not heard from you.
He led recap earlier.
Oh, okay.
And
I think I was.
An event can be defined as any, let me say, action that is triggered within your AWS environment, cloud environment. For example, launching an EC2 instance, or maybe uploading an object into S3.
all right, thank you. And where are CloudTrail log files stored? I have.
the S3 buckets.
All right, thank you. Which format are they stored in? Which mode, Amwa? Or Daniel wants to answer for us.
Yes, please. It's in .gz.
All right, thank you. And
Welcome.
Emmanuel, did you say that GZ is the extension for archived documents?
Yes, please.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it not?
Okay. I don't know me. That's why I'm asking.
Yes,
Just
yes.
to
Okay,
confirm.
okay, yeah, it's archive. I just posted in the chat this information, but
Okay.
I'm still a bit confused because you just demonstrated and we're able to view it in VS Code, but they are saying that the log files are encrypted using S3 server-side encryption before it is placed in the buckets, but we were able to view it nonetheless.
But we are the owners now. And we have the permissions, so we should be able to have administrator access. So I should be able to view it.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Right, that's it for Cloud Trail. With the .gz extension, and as Ima said, it's an archive file that has been compressed by the standard GNU zip compression. I think VS Code is like really advanced because it's able to open like a lot of extensions that you might not even be familiar with. So AWS config. This is also one of the tools in AWS that you can use for detection. And it helps to improve your security configuration and compliance. So for example, enforcing a password policy. So all users must have at least one uppercase, one lowercase. All S3 buckets must not be publicly accessible. All EC2 instances in private subnets must not have a public IP address. So to be able to have control over those things, you would use AWS config, and you would just define some rules of how you want resources to be provisioned inside your account. So the point is checking and ensuring that all your resources comply with your security policies. So we've looked at the password policy, and it has to expire within 90 days, etc. So when a password is created or changed, config checks whether the action has violated any of the conditions inside the rules. So if the action violates it, config will flag it as non-compliant. So config is not able to stop the person like the way maybe if they don't have user permissions or IAM permissions, they will be stopped. But config will just take note of it and just flag it that, okay, this resource is non-compliant. So for example, I could create a rule that in my AWS accounts, we should only provision T2 micro instances. If somebody tries to provision a T3 micro, config will not be able to stop them. What config will be able to do is flag it that this resource is non-compliant. So it's used for compliance and compliance of configurations inside your AWS account. And it also provides resource inventory. So you're able to go to one place and view your resources that you have, and it will tell you whether the resource is compliant or not. It will also give you a configuration history. So probably this resource had this instance type, and now it has been changed to this. Maybe this resource had permissions like this, but now it has been changed to that. So those configuration changes, the history of the configuration changes that your resource has undergone. And it could also notify you about these change in configurations. So it's good for compliance auditing, security analysis, resource change tracking, and troubleshooting. So you can use config with CloudTrail to gain complete visibility into the details of a configuration change. Config will notify you when the configuration has changed, and then CloudTrail would provide additional details such as who made the change, the source IP, the region it was made in, and all those things. So that's how config and CloudTrail integrate with each other. And these are the uses of config: troubleshooting, compliance auditing, security analysis, and resource change tracking. So to demonstrate compliance, you need the historical configurations of that resource. And security analysis, you need historical information about your resource configurations. So you want to see what IAM permissions that are granted to, for instance, your AWS or your EC2 instance. So you want to know what permissions that are granted to your users to that instance. And it also detects misconfigurations. You get a fine-grained visibility into the resources and how they are configured at any time. So when it's time for you to troubleshoot or something has gone wrong inside your system, config would be able to also give you some insights, because when you look at the resources, you can tell what exactly has changed about the resource because of the configuration history that config provides for us. So it's used to retrieve an inventory of your resource, discover new and deleted resources, record configuration changes continuously, and then you get notified when these configuration changes are made. So how it works, the change occurs and config makes a record of it, and then it stores this change to an S3 bucket. And you're able to access the change history and compliance results through AWS config console or through APIs. And it also notifies you if a change or a configuration is non-compliant. It sends an SNS alert. SNS is simple notification service. You could take it, you could configure it to your phone or so you could receive a text message or an email. So depending on how you want to be notified. So SNS will notify you about non-compliant configurations. So every time a change is made, config would evaluate to see if the change violates the rules that you've set or not. And if the change doesn't violate, or if it violates, whatever results that it gets from the evaluation, it will send to an SNS topic that you define. So you will get the alert. SNS topic is like what the SNS or what the notification is about. So you specify that that topic you want to receive notifications through SNS alerts. So you get the message and then you get the, what's it called? Or an email, depending on how you've configured your SNS. And you can also view the change history and rule compliance results in the AWS config console. You can also access them through the config application programming interface and also access them programmatically. When we say programmatically, it's the CLI and the SDK. So config helps you to meet your security and compliance objectives. You're able to monitor resource usage activity and configure and configurations to detect vulnerabilities. And you're also able to evaluate resources against the config rules that you define. So based on some security requirements or some compliance requirements, you've put some rules in place. So you just put those rules inside config, and whenever a change is made that pertains to that rule that you've put in place, you would be notified if it's compliant or not. So it helps you troubleshoot security configuration issues. Looking at permissions that belong to a user at any time, and also the ports that have been blocked on your security group. Those are all config or insights that config can give you. So a config rule represents a desired configuration for a resource, and it is evaluated against configuration changes on the resource. So your resource, you define some rules that you want for it. I give an example about how EC2 instances. Probably you want a particular instance type, or you want your instances to just be provisioned in one region, anything like that. So when you set the config rules, and whenever a change or an instance is provisioned, it will come and compare to the rules that you have, and then it will give you the results. So you set up your rules, and you can use predefined managed rules, or you create custom rules. Predefined managed rules are AWS provided, just like we saw in the policies. AWS provides some, but you're also at liberty to create your own. And author custom rules by using AWS Lambda, and the rules are invoked automatically during continuous assessment. And you can also view your dashboard to see the compliance results and identify configuration changes that might be of concern. So the managed rules are used to evaluate whether your resources comply with common best practices. So is your IAM user password meeting the specified requirements? Are your S3 buckets not publicly accessible? Your EC2 instances not having a public IP address? Because if they have a public IP address, then people on the internet are able to access. And also checking that your EBS volumes are encrypted. So these are the rules that AWS has provided. They have the IAM password policy, S3 buckets level, public access prohibited, EC2 instance, no public IP, EC2 EBS encryption by default. So all these rules are put in place to help protect various resources inside the cloud. Right, so that is it. So we can use config to track our resource configuration changes and answer questions about them, demonstrate compliance, and detect and troubleshoot security vulnerabilities. And then the rules, you use them to implement best practices, and they also enforce security and governance policies. So if anything is non-compliant, config will be able to help you to see it early to rectify it, so that when your governing body, or maybe your I give an example about insurance companies, but also just those bodies that make sure that organizations are doing what they're supposed to do when they come around. It's not now that you are coming to see that, okay, this is misconfigured or this is out of the ordinary. So that's what config helps you to do. And you're able to send notifications to yourself whenever a resource is created, modified, or deleted. And you're also able to view the relationships between resources. And that is it for today. Are there any questions? So tomorrow we'll start with response. Please, are there any questions? Okay, I guess there are no questions. So sometimes when you have files in S3, there's this feature called lock. You are able to lock files inside S3, so that way they're not able to be changed or edited or something like that. So you might want to need, or that might come in handy when you know you're working with, well, security is like, you don't have to know you're working with a bad administrator before you implement something like that. But that might come in handy for when you have files that if they change how, so you need to lock the file inside S3. Okay, see you tomorrow morning, and let's try to fill out the form about our grievances, our inquiries, our questions, everything we have for Francis. The file is on the journal page on Slack. So let's put in our input so that tomorrow when I meet with him, I would be able to get all of the concerns addressed. See you tomorrow. Yes, Derek.
Okay, I wanted to find out the threshold mark for to meet the requirement so you can continue with the course. Because initially I heard you mentioning 80% or so.
Yeah, I said 70%, but I will confirm with Francis tomorrow about the exact average. Is it like 70 of all or 70 per each? I don't know if you understand what I mean.
As in
So the
70% overall.
the metrics are, is it about 6? So do you have to get at least 70 in all, or when they strike the average of all 6, you need to get 70? Is that clear?
Oh, okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, Derek.
So please, I wanted to know, should I also fill the form or you still talk to them for me on my behalf?
I will call him after this. So if anything, I'll let you know on Slack. Yours is about the Linux
Okay, the
assessment,
line,
right?
yeah, the line.
Yes,
Yes,
okay. So I'll let you know.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Dennis, I'm making you host. Bye.
Bye-bye.